Hi, this is Professor Joan Butler, the Program Director for the Master of Science in Health Science Clinical Research Administration Program at George Washington University. And I'm here to congratulate you, class of 2021. You've earned your Master of Science in Health Sciences in CRA from George Washington University, and now you're a proud alum of GW. I am so proud of you for persevering, working hard, and doing well in the program, despite all of the challenges you've had, including dealing with a year or more of COVID-19. I am so proud of you all. Please link in with me, and always remember, you're a proud alum now of GW.
On behalf of the School of Medicine and Health Sciences Office of Diversity and Inclusion, congratulations to our graduates of the class of 2021.
Congratulations to all the physical therapy and health sciences graduates. I wish you all the best with your professional journeys.
Hi, this is Dr. Tice. I'm Assistant Professor and Program Director of the Regulatory Affairs Graduate Program, and I want to wish all of the GW class of 2021 best success and much happiness in the future. You really did a great job, especially during this challenging time of the COVID-19 pandemic, something that you can be very proud of, and we wish you all success and happiness in the future. Stay in touch.
We are celebrating you, 2021 graduates. In an extraordinary year, you are extraordinary. Our warm congratulations and our best wishes for the journey ahead.
Congratulations, class of 2021. You guys are finally graduates. We're so incredibly proud of you. It has taken resilience, grit, and grace to get to this point, and I hope you take a moment to celebrate all that you've put into this. Congratulations.
Congratulations, class 2021. Best of luck with all your future clinical endeavors.
Class of 2021, congratulations, you have arrived. This time period has made you even more resilient, and we look forward to seeing what path you take next and celebrating with you along the way. Congratulations.
Congratulations to the fabulous class of 2021. Our wonderful DPT students. You've proven you're resilient, you're up for any task in front of you. Go out there, have fun, make your families proud, make us proud, but most of all, make yourselves proud. Congratulations.
Congratulations, GW Integrative Medicine class of 2021.
Congratulations, Health Sciences class of 2021. If you can achieve a milestone like this during a triple pandemic, you can do anything. Now it's time to sit back, celebrate, and relax. You so very deserve it.
Class of 2021, we celebrate you. Wherever you go, go with all your heart. And remember, GW will always be your home, so raise high.
Welcome to the George Washington University Commencement Celebrations 2021. One generation to the next. With pride and purpose. Celebrating 200 years of Only at GW moments. In a time like no other, communities have come together, made a difference, faced adversity with perseverance and resilience. All moments that defined us and a generation. The School of Medicine and Health Sciences congratulates our health science graduates for their accomplishments, innovations, discoveries, and success. Raise high. And now, the 2021 commencement celebration for the graduates of health sciences. Please welcome Dean Barbara L. Baz.
Good afternoon, all. What a delight to celebrate this distinguished group of graduates. I join our deans, faculty, and staff of the GW School of Medicine and Health Sciences in congratulating each and every one of you. our tremendously accomplished graduates, for arriving at this wonderful and exciting day. Well done. So clearly today, this moment reflects your hard work, your many hours of study, hands-on and experiential learning, and your commitment and your passion to your chosen field as a member of the healthcare team. Your work going forward is performed in service to others. Your work in the many different disciplines represented today will enable people to live longer, healthier, and happier lives. I thank you and congratulate you on having chosen these noble careers in service to others. While we are not together in Lisner Auditorium today, for the second year we are having this virtual celebration, it's still a very special day. Like last year, at the beginning of this pandemic, today we are celebrating you as the medical team heroes of all types based on your activities of this year. And as we now begin to emerge from this long, dark tunnel, I know that many of you, even while studying and learning, have served as volunteers and members of the workforce in our battle against COVID, as testers, vaccinators, vaccine ambassadors, and laboratory staffers, and researchers. You have been part of the solution to bring this pandemic to an end, and I am so very grateful for all you have done. Thank you. I trust today you are sharing this moment with your family, friends, and colleagues who have supported you in your journey. With you, I thank them for their support during this educational journey, those who have been behind you throughout your time here at GW. Your parents and grandparents, your husbands, wives, partners, and significant others, your children, your brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, and all of your loved ones and friends. As you know, they are your biggest supporters, and I know this day is a day of great pride for them as well. As Dean of the GW School of Medicine and Health Sciences, I want to thank all of the faculty and staff in our wide array of educational and professional training programs here at the Health Sciences programs. Your extraordinary work has made GW, the GW Health Sciences program, among the very best in the nation. These programs you lead are a source of great pride for all of us, and I know I can speak for our students in saying that your efforts as faculty are crucial to our success. I thank you for your perseverance and resilience in this most challenging year and your relentless commitment to excellence. And the same to you, our graduates. As you have studied, worked, and learned through this most challenging last year, I congratulate you on your accomplishments and successes that have brought you here today. Further, I recognize and thank you for the contributions you will make to patient care in the many roles you will have in the years and decades ahead as healthcare professionals, educators, and researchers. I am certain you will find your careers in the health sciences and as health professionals to be incredibly rewarding, and I wish you every success in whatever path you will take. So to you, our newest GW alumni, I encourage you to stay in touch with us. Be an active member of our worldwide and lifelong alumni association. Keep us up to date on your accomplishments. We will take great pride in your achievements and the contributions you will make to your communities as you use the knowledge and skills you have learned here at GW. Again, congratulations to all. I wish you all the best in all of your future endeavors.
First, let me say congratulations to each member of the class of 2021 and express my gratitude to all the graduates' family, friends, and loved ones who've helped them make it to this important moment. And a warm welcome to all from the George Washington University and its School of Medicine and Health Sciences. I wish with all my heart we could be together today to celebrate in person. And I hope, as soon as it's safe to do so, that we can come together for some well-deserved, well-earned post-pandemic festivities. This has truly been an extraordinary year and one of the most difficult in the history of our nation and our institution. And I want to commend each of you as graduates on your perseverance and your resilience during an incredibly difficult period. As I reflected a bit on this graduation and the context in which it's occurring, I wanted to reflect on a few of the things that we've all experienced together, and then try to make connections to the steps that are ahead for each of you. First, we've had coronavirus, which has changed the world, changed the face of our university, at least over the last year. We've had cancellations. We've had school and campus closures. We've had empty coliseums and convention centers, and an economy that's been racked by this pandemic. We've seen a new disease emerge with COVID-19, and clinicians and scientists all over the world, including at our university, have been working hard to better understand it, contain it, treat it, and hopefully cure it. And as we still observe new elements of this disease unravel, we're seeing long hauler syndrome in some patients and complications of the disease that may live well past the infectious period. So many more studies to be conducted and much more evidence to be gathered to overcome this pandemic and the disease that brought it. We've seen a number of crises in our communities. Violence has been amplified during the pandemic, as have other health inequities and social inequities. We all watched the horrifying death of George Floyd, and many Americans tuned in to the recent trial of Derek Chauvin. Our capital city and home of the George Washington University came under attack on the steps of our Capitol building, our nation's capital, and our DC streets were lined with military and law enforcement vehicles and personnel. Again, an extraordinary, unprecedented year for our nation and for our community. There have been some really positive expressions and accomplishments over this year as well. The coronavirus vaccine is one that comes to mind, including some of the first mRNA vaccines we've ever seen, building on a decade of prior work by discovery and preclinical trials. I'm amazed and fascinated as a scientist and a health professional that we can see how these vaccines teach our cells how to make proteins or little pieces of a protein so our bodies can trigger an immune response and build the antibodies needed to protect us if we become exposed with the virus, and as we've seen, to help us prevent becoming seriously ill. Truly, medical miracles have been observed this year. We've also seen tremendous amounts of caring from neighbors looking after one another, from churches and community groups creating safety nets in their backyards, students volunteering their time to support vaccine events, to help address hunger, and any number of other issues that have manifested during the pandemic. There's truly been an outpouring of compassion and caring, and it's one of the great highlights of this past year for me. We've also seen courage to levels, at least in my career, never seen before, from our frontline health professionals, from our clinical trainees like GW's own medical residents and health sciences clinical students, from frontline workers and essential workers who've had to face really scary experiences and worry about not only their own health and safety, but that of the families that they return home to each evening. I want to really call out these clinicians and frontline workers, researchers, and essential workers who have continued to make progress and support us during this very difficult and scary time. I also want to call out those who've been courageous to speak out against violence, against discrimination, and against attacks on science and truth that have been present during this past year. As I reflect on these, and I hope I will be able to make some connections, some relevant connections, and offer you some practical advice for this next step in your professional career. And whether you're starting a new job in healthcare or research, or you're stepping into a new leadership role, or maybe continuing your educational journey, there's much we can learn from this past year. So if you'll indulge me just a few minutes, I want to talk about some C's, and I'll tell you what that means in just a minute. As I reflected over this past year, the first thing that came to mind was a former collaborator and a former West Point faculty member, Colonel Eric Kale. Eric was an incredible human being, and many of the things that he talked about and wrote about and studied during his career have been on the forefront of my mind recently. In 2011, Eric wrote a series of articles about character-based leadership for the Washington Post, and I really remember how engaging those pieces were and how much they resonated with me. And so I spoke to Eric after that, and we became professional friends and had the chance to collaborate, and he was truly an inspiring faculty member and thought leader. In those articles, he wrote about 6 facets of leadership character. He wrote about courage, he wrote about integrity, selflessness, empathy, collaboration, and reflection. And he continued to write and teach and study leadership character through his career until his life was cut short, unfortunately, by a very difficult battle with cancer. But his work endures. His work was inspired by the military, but it lives on and has valuable applications for every profession, including our health professions and the clinical and translational research fields that you will be entering. And so I've thought about him, and I wanted to reflect on some of what his lessons were, and I think are timely lessons for each of you and for me. So Eric used to say something like this: picture the faces of the 2 most influential leaders in your life. Maybe it was a boss, maybe it was a teacher, a mentor, a coach, or a family member, but they were a leader and they were influential in your life. And they had the greatest impact on you. So picture the faces of those 2 people in your mind. Do it with me now, if you don't mind. What made them so large in your eyes, he would say? Was it something that they did, or was it who they were? In other words, was it the skills or abilities that they had that left such an impression, or was it maybe their character? Now think back to the last time a senior leader in your organization or your community cost a lot, cost your organization valuable assets. Could be stock value, it could be human capital, or maybe it was a local or a national leader who led his or her state or country down a treacherous, costly path. But think about the last leader that you associate with a big failure. And if you think about that person, chances are pretty good that it was character, not a technical or a leadership ability necessarily that led to that failure. And Eric saw this pattern over and over and over again in his career and his research. And so I'm going to take a little bit of creative liberty with Eric's C's, like courage and collaboration, and I'm going to edit another one of his, and I'm going to hopefully show how this past year has put a spotlight on it and how we might all embrace these in our professional pursuits and take steps to strengthen and foster them for a successful career and hopefully a successful life going forward. So let's talk about the 3 C's. The first C is compassion. As a health professional, compassion is something that I think about projecting outwardly. I recognize another person is suffering and I show them that I care. You sympathize with their situation. Empathy is related, and it's what Eric talks about in his leadership character facets. But empathy is different from compassion. It's an inward force. It is, can you see the situation from another person's perspective? Can you allow yourself to be open enough to experience that moment with a patient and their family? It's a gift we can give to patients, but it also honors their willingness to let us be a part of their experience. So compassion is an essential skill for any health professional, but I believe empathy is really the key to building and sustaining a rewarding career. Empathy is also a path or a tool we can choose to better understand the inequities that exist in healthcare and across many aspects of life. This is particularly true for historically marginalized communities and individuals and families from disadvantaged backgrounds. For those of you who have shared with me being a healthcare professional during the COVID pandemic, you have painfully observed how low-income families and individuals from racial and ethnic minorities have been disproportionately affected by COVID. More severe illness, more loss of life, more complications from this disease. And that's on top of many Americans losing jobs and struggling to take care of their families over the past year. And so as I think about this, I think about we have this opportunity in front of us to rebuild and recover from this pandemic. And we can choose, and I hope we will choose with your help, to reshape a society that creates more opportunity for all people and dismantle structures that drive inequity. The next C is collaboration. And collaboration is something that I know you've been focused on in your studies and in your practical experiences, but I want to talk about collaboration a little bit. It's particularly important in healthcare And I'll tell you a few reasons. So science has shared with us, and studies have shared with us, that high impact collaboration can lead to improved patient outcomes, improved patient care. We do a better job of taking care of patients and families. We can see fewer medical errors when we collaborate. We can see that essential treatments are begun sooner when we work together. We can reduce cost and inefficiencies in our healthcare system as we collaborate. And we also know that we can improve job satisfaction and retention in healthcare and research careers. So the COVID pandemic and our experience at GW have really amplified for me the power of human connections or isolation on our physical and mental health and our overall effectiveness as teams. I've observed firsthand over this past year in a way that has really resonated with me the power of interprofessional teams to tackle complex health issues or research teams to produce impactful research results. So what is that glue that helps to build and sustain collaboration? From my own experiences and from what I've learned from others, and maybe you've observed this as well, it involves sharing the same set of values and ethics, maybe the same purpose. It involves taking time to understand the roles and also respect the perspectives of each member of that team. And for us in healthcare, we know that that also includes the family and patients. And it also means just doing work on basic but fundamental skills like communication and teamwork. These are muscles that we can build. These are skills we can strengthen. And that work will lead to more effective research, better health outcomes, more patient and family-centered care. So I want you to think about collaboration. You know, as we think about collaboration too, we should also think about the diversity of the teams that we're going to become a part of. Because other science tells us that the diversity of teams also has a role in building high-impact collaboration. In the classroom, we've observed for decades that diversity enriches and drives critical thinking. In research, more diverse teams have been proven not only to drive more innovation, but also advance discovery and increase the likelihood that the research outcomes that we do produce will benefit individuals from underserved or health disparity populations. So collaboration and the diversity of teams are really important to healthcare and also in research. And so I want you to think about the steps you can take and the work that you can do to be a better, more effective, more collaborative part of a team. The last C is courage. Nobody said it better than Dr. Maya Angelou. She said that courage is the most important of all virtues, because without courage, we cannot practice any other virtue consistently. We maybe can practice that virtue erratically, but nothing consistently without courage. So as you enter your careers, or continue to learn and develop, or lead in your communities, I want you to reflect on how you will embrace compassion and empathy, collaboration and courage, and the steps that you can take to strengthen and embolden the facets of leadership character that already exist within you. The faculty and the staff of the School of Medicine and Health Sciences and the entire George Washington University community celebrate you and this major milestone of graduation today. I am so very proud of your accomplishments and also your perseverance and your resilience during an incredibly difficult year. Know that you are forever a part of GW and the Health Sciences family, and we continue to walk with you and are here to support you throughout your life and career. I wish you a happy graduation, class of 2021.
It is my privilege to present the Oscar Ekmecha Interprofessional Leadership Award. The Oscar honors the work of the late Dr. Oscar Ekmecha, who actively promoted interprofessional collaboration and scholarship both within and outside the health sciences. These recipients emulate the qualities that Oscar lived and that we admired in his work with students and colleagues. Our first recipient is a graduate from our on-campus Physician Assistance Program. Casey is part of our joint degree program, earning a Master's of Health Sciences and a Master's of Public Health. Throughout her time here at GW, Casey has demonstrated her capacity for leadership, including her service as a student representative for the Committee on the Learning Environment. Over the past year, she has served as the Outreach and Advocacy Leader for the Physician Assistant Against Racism Commission, working closely with the GW chapter of White Coats for Black Lives. She also co-led a subcommittee aimed at combating structural racism within medicine. Casey is the first health professional recipient of the GWU United States Institute of Peace Mentorship Program. In this role, she met with experts and students from the Elliott School of International Affairs to discuss the intersection of medicine, peace building, safety and security, and public health. I am pleased to present the Oscar to Casey Regnier. Our second graduate is from our online program in healthcare quality. In 2019, Kenley joined Rush University System for Health as a public manager and was tasked with launching the organization's first ever comprehensive employee and student wellness program. In her role, she helped establish confidential counseling, professional and personal development services for staff, students, and their family. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Kenley was asked to lead another wellness initiative, becoming Rush's first enterprise risk manager. Over the past year, she has worked collaboratively with management teams across the organization to proactively identify and manage risks, such as protecting patients and staff from COVID exposure and administering vaccines. Kenley also gives back to her community, supporting groups like Girls on the Run, Alzheimer's Association, and the American Heart Association. It is my pleasure to award the Oscar to Kenley Morgenstern.
Hi, I'm Dr. Andy Garrett, and I'm the Program Director for Emergency Health Services in the Department of Clinical Research and Leadership at the GW School of Medicine and Health Sciences. Our whole team of faculty and staff are thrilled that for the second year in a row, a student from one of our EHS undergraduate degree programs was selected to receive the Outstanding Student Award. To tell you more about our recipient, I'd like to introduce Mr. Joff Shapiro, a GW Emergency Health Services grad himself who serves as the director of our department's Office of EMS and Operational Medicine Training.
Thanks for the introduction, Dr. Garrett. I would like to congratulate Mr. Ricky Ditzel for winning the 2021 GW Health Sciences Outstanding Undergraduate Student Award. Ricky embodies all of the values and the mission of health sciences and the Emergency Health Services program at GW, and is truly an emerging all-star in our field. Ricky began his academic career in the Leadership for Emergency Action and Disaster Response, or LEADER program at GW, while serving on active duty with the U.S. Army Special Operations Command. He very quickly combined his military training, education, and experience with what he was learning in the LEADER program, and became a leader in the civilian emergency response field as well, all while still completing his degree requirements and earning outstanding grades. Forward-thinking, dynamic, and already a leader in the field, Ricky was able to apply an innovative interdisciplinary approach, leveraging his many relationships to provide direct leadership in patient care for one of the significant care centers in New York City and other preparedness initiatives throughout the nation early on in the continuing pandemic response to COVID-19. Ricky is a peer mentor to other special operations personnel looking to transition out of the military and continue their education, serves on multiple boards with significant national and international organizations and publications, and has been involved with publishing peer-reviewed literature and groundbreaking research in trauma care, and continues to lead the effort to garner further understanding into complex clinical issues. I've used the word leader a lot when describing Mr. Ditzel, and I'm excited to see what his bright future still holds as he continues his pursuit of becoming a physician and continue to make a significant difference as a change agent in the world. Ricky epitomizes what it means to be a GW alum, and I'm elated to welcome him into the alumni family with this award. Good luck and congratulations to Ricky and the rest of the graduates in this year's class.
Hello everyone, my name is Ricky Ditzel Jr. and I am honored and deeply humbled to be the recipient of the Outstanding Undergraduate Student Award for 2021. This award embodies a collective effort from various mentors who've influenced me during my time at GW. First off, I'd like to thank Professor Josh Shapiro for nominating me for this award. This would not have been possible without your leadership and mentorship. Professor Shapiro is an innovative leader who always encouraged me to push the boundaries, expand my horizons, and to never quit. He also did something that would alter my professional path in a monumental way, which was taking a risk on a young critical care flight paramedic with no college degree and letting him speak at a medical conference on a highly controversial topic in trauma. That stage set by Professor Shapiro at the Committee on Tactical Emergency Casualty Care would be the first time that I would defend my theory on hypocalcemia and trauma, and ultimately established a momentum and interest for the project for the next 4 years. Throughout the process of navigating the rigors of clinical research and academia, it was the faculty and professors at GW that would help me fill in gaps and remove the limitations of my own personal knowledge. Standing in front of you today, I can proudly say that the risk Professor Shapiro took has led to changes in medical practice across the Department of Defense, the federal government, and multiple level 1 trauma centers. The community and support from the faculty and student body within GW SMHS did not stop at one conference in Calcium, but spanned across multiple personal and professional experiences. I remember having to write a paper in research and writing in the health sciences about any medical topic that interests us as students. Due to my experience in Afghanistan with traumatic brain injury, I decided to write a paper about post-traumatic brain injury hypopituitary dysfunction. At the time, this paper was just about furthering my knowledge and attempting to get a good grade in the class, but little did I know that this paper would ignite and fuel a great passion of mine, which is to serve those who are perceived to have a lesser quality of life due to neurologic dysfunction. This paper allowed me to discuss traumatic brain injury protocols with the Tennessee Titans, rewrite and define the return to duty protocols for my military unit, and volunteer as an advisor for the Center of Neuroscience and Regenerative Medicine at the NIH. It is because of the environment created by the GW SMHS community that we are able to achieve what we once thought was impossible. As I further reflect on my time as an undergraduate student, I recall that a core value demonstrated by the community is service to others. There's a palpable desire to identify and dismantle the systems in place that perpetuate inequalities that aim to limit opportunities and access amongst diverse populations. Despite the many challenges that we have all faced, we have managed to find ourselves sitting here today. I would like to humbly challenge all of us today to take what we have collectively learned from GW SMHS and to apply it to your new environment wherever that might be in the world, and to remember that you always have your GW community with you. Thank you for your time, and it is my honor to congratulate the class of 2021 on this monumentous occasion.
Greetings, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and families of the George Washington Health Sciences. My name is Dr. Miranda Ward, and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Clinical Research and Leadership. I must admit, it's such an honor to be invited to introduce this year's Health Sciences Outstanding Graduate Student of the Year Award. Interestingly enough, I don't teach in the graduate program. I actually teach in the undergraduate health sciences program. So I don't really come into regular contact with many graduate students, but the stars aligned with my path crossing this year's award winner, Heather Yoho, a soon-to-be graduate with her MS-HS in clinical and translational research. So when I saw the call for nominations for an outstanding graduate student, I just knew that Heather was a prime candidate. She has proved time and time again her commitment to excellence, equity, and service. So I actually met Heather earlier on this spring when she expressed interest in my research. She reached out to ask if she can get involved with any ongoing projects I had going on that would allow for her to actualize her health equity values. And I sure did. I had just started a multidisciplinary student research lab at the time. So she immediately jumped in headfirst with ideas as one of 5 students at our first research team meeting. And in fact, our lab's core health acronym is actually thanks to her ingenuity. And we've collaboratively decided that it should stand for the Coalition on Restructuring Education via Health Equity and Anti-Racism Leading to Human Justice. This research lab is an extension of the SMHS Anti-Racism Coalition. And Heather actually just presented at the GW Research Showcase to discuss our 2-part health equity study. Her submitted work was also considered for the Diversity and Inclusion Prize. Now, when it comes to excellence, Heather most certainly demonstrates exemplary academic and clinical performance with an overall 4.0 GPA. And her academic performance was recognized just recently as a distinguished member of the National Alpha Eta Honor Society and the GW chapters of the Golden Key International Honor Society and the National Society of Leadership and Success. She was also the founding member and media relations officer for GW's CTR student organization. She's such a go-getter, her energy is contagious, and she's increasingly willing to share her time and her talents to advance both racial and health equity. Her contributions and dedication have really been unparalleled, and it's these commitments to our social mission that motivate me to engage her as a partner on research abstracts, grant funds, and manuscripts. Heather, I'm so very proud to be your research mentor, your co-conspirator in this ongoing fight against structural racism, and now collaborators in the field. As I shared with you, and I'll share with you again now, our work is just beginning. I look forward to your forthcoming children's book, and I want to congratulate you and the rest of Class of 2021 on your graduation. But first, drum roll please. Everyone, please join me in congratulating Heather Yoho as this year's very well-deserved award recipient for the 2021 Health Sciences Graduate Student of the Year.
Class of 2021, congratulations. I'm Heather Yoho, and I'm deeply honored and grateful to Dr. Miranda Ward for nominating me for the 2021 Health Sciences Outstanding Graduate Student Award. I would like to first thank God, because without him, I would not be able to grace this platform today. I was led to the George Washington University at a time where my chances of survival were very slim. As I speak to you all today, my fellow graduates and all of our loved ones across the globe, and GW faculty and staff, I speak with one functioning lung. I began my master's degree at a time where I was gasping for air and living in a deoxygenated state. I made a career switch after being a research case study from medical school aspirations to dedicating my life to research to give other patients hope as I had been given. Thank you to my mom, brother, and dad for their immense sacrifices during the darkest days of my life, fighting to live. My family has shown me love, support, and encouragement, and through them believing in me, I am able to stand here today fulfilling my passion. Thank you to my boyfriend for showing me what it means to be a true leader and showing the potential that I have in making a difference in this world. I would like to thank my mentors for my time at GW, Dr. Ward, who I've had the privilege of serving as research activist in the Coalition on Restructuring Education via Health Equity and Anti-Racism Leading to Human Justice Lab. It is under your leadership that my eyes were opened to the ways that I have a lasting impact to be made on the lives of marginalized communities through my research endeavors. To Dr. Samar Nasser and Professor Kelly Bodecker, thank you for your constant support, your dedication to all your students, and a commitment to grooming ethical and skillful researchers. It is because of your encouragement that I am here today for the researcher going into the world. What a monumental day. For yet another year, we are graduating in a time of the coronavirus pandemic. This keeps us from graduating together, yet together we will rise high as healthcare professionals and be proud to be GW alumni in our field. As graduates from the George Washington University, we have been given immense opportunities to enrich our lives and expand our knowledge. Now it is our duty to utilize that education and knowledge to make a worldwide impact. We have the opportunity to make the world a better place than we found it. Global and social changes upon us. Many have been awakened to the epidemic of structural racism in healthcare. Today, I urge you all, as we embark on our careers, to remain aware of those with claimant needs, those feeling demoralized by the system. Through being intentional with our actions, we can all be health equity champions, fighting for those who have lost their voice because they are afraid from the historical abuses through this country. Structural racism persists due to many factors. However, each one of our professions can make an impact on minority populations through standing for justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. We all have a pivotal role to be played in mitigating health disparities as we embark to improve community health, conduct research, and interact with patient populations. It is at GW that has brought us together today, and together we can advocate for change to begin improving the lives of all communities. The time is now, where we must stand united as a GW family to end racism in healthcare. We must stand up and speak out when we see injustices being performed in our professions. There is work to be done to root out racism in healthcare, but together we can be a part of a change, creating a better tomorrow for patients of all races and ethnicities. In the words of Michelle Obama, race and racism is a reality that so many of us grow up learning to just deal with. But if we ever hope to move past it, it can't just be on people of color to deal with it. It's up to all of us, Black, white, everyone, no matter how well-meaning we think we might be, to do the honest, uncomfortable work of rooting it out. Thank you. Raise high.
Congratulations to the class of 2021. All of your hard work has paid off. We made it, and you should be so proud of yourself. I'm honored to have been asked to recite the Health Professional Pledge, and I invite you to join me. I will lead my life and practice my profession with integrity and compassion, treating each individual I see with dignity and respect. I promise to comfort, care, and work toward curing the sick and disabled, and will strive to promote the health and well-being of all the people for whom I care. I will work for the benefit of and avoid harm to the individuals I serve and those who are my colleagues. Even if directed, I will do nothing that I believe could harm my patient. I will use my knowledge and skill to serve all individuals regardless of race, gender, religion, disease, or social status. I will respect the privacy of every person and will hold confidential all information about patients for whom I care. I pledge to continue to learn and grow in my profession and continually seek to gain new knowledge. I will constantly strive to contribute to my profession through teaching others who can benefit from my knowledge. I promise to pursue each of the tenets of this pledge with strength and courage to the utmost of my power.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Kevin O'Connor, Associate Professor of Health, Human Function, and Rehabilitative Sciences and of Medicine. And I just want to congratulate everyone. What a wonderful day, momentous occasion. And I think back a few years ago to what our newly minted university president, LeBlanc, said. He said, gave us words to live by, framed by our nation's capital, inspired by our namesake's vision. We, the members of the George Washington University community, aspire to preeminence in all that we do. Now, what was he doing there? He was telling us how we were going to build our brand. Okay, it's always about building your brand. All right. Now, graduation today, this is a realization of a dream. Okay, many dreams. All right, and then while there's nothing inherently wrong, it's okay to dream about the man or the woman that you're going to someday become. The fact is, you're building your brand right now. All right, because the thing about great men and great women is that in retrospect, they were great young men and young women. Right? So it brings me to a story about a great man who I had, one night to get to know, Admiral Bill McRaven. Okay, a few years back on St. Patrick's Day, I was very honored to have the opportunity to be seated at the table with him for Hibernian's dinner. And he told us a story about young Lieutenant McRaven. Now, this young lieutenant, he had this great opportunity. He was assigned to SEAL Team 6, very elite, and working for a legendary commander, Dick Marcinko. And Marcinko was kind of old school, rough, not a great work environment. And he used to use bad techniques, humiliation, screaming, all that. And one day he was displeased with Lieutenant McRaven about something and had him doing some humiliation task type thing. And Lieutenant is like, I'm not doing that. And he's like, well, you're doing that. He's like, I'm not doing that. And, some tussles and shoving, and Lieutenant McRaven came back and popped him in the chin. Pretty good. And that ended the way most commander versus junior officer fights end, and he was fired on the spot, of course. But we look back in retrospect, we're like, oh, of course he did that. That's Admiral McRaven. Well, as he was driving home that day, trying to figure out how he was going to tell his wife that, I got fired. We're probably going to have to move. My naval career is almost certainly over. My question is, do you think he knew that he was Admiral Bill McRaven? Because I bet he didn't. All right, I bet he was filled with self-doubt and self-questioning and anxiety like any of us would have been. All right, so what happened that day? He was building his brand, right? All right, and so as you go forward and you build your brand, you figure out, how you can do that. Well, the one thing I'd ask you is don't forget where you came from. All right, don't forget what you were taught by your family, by your friends, by your coaches, your faculty, your patients here, your academic institutions. Don't forget what you were taught. All right, and how are you going to repay us back? Well, you're going to go out and you're going to be and do good. And you're hearing that and you're like, well, good, I'm going to be great. That's not what I meant. All right, you're going to be skilled. All right, and you're going to get more skills as you keep going. But the people who taught you to be good, both how and why, are probably the people who are here celebrating with you today. All right, they're probably the people who love you. All right, so as you build your brand, as you move forward and you make the world better, please honor us, honor the institution and honor where you came from by being and doing good. All right, so congratulations again, raise high.
Congratulations, class of 2021. It is my pleasure and privilege to be presenting you with your charge upon graduation. My name is Dr. Lorenzo Norris, and I'm the Associate Dean of Student Affairs and Administration in the GW School of Medicine and Health Sciences, and I proudly serve with fellow colleagues in the Office of Student Support in support of all students in the School of Medicine and Health Sciences. Class of 2021. It goes without saying that you have been through a year like no other. In February of 2020, we first heard of, in a very real way, COVID. Before this, COVID had just been something we were aware of, but maybe similar to Ebola or other, if you will, viruses, we would navigate it. I still recall with vivid clarity among medical school leaders when we realized that, okay, we'd be gone for perhaps a month or two, but surely we would be back to having in-person sessions, in-person meetings, in-person classes. Few of us could have in any way, shape, or form anticipated the year that was to follow. I still remember as many of the health professionals started to realize what COVID was, as we all scrambled for PPE, as we all tried to acclimate ourselves in terms of how we can best protect ourselves, our families, as well as serve our community. This period of time was one which I will never forget because I definitely saw a spirit of heroism, resolve, and community. Whether it's with patients, colleagues, staff, everyone really wanted to chip in. Everyone really wanted to be a part of a solution. Everyone really wanted to combat COVID. This is one of the most beautiful things that I ever saw in regards to just personally, as well as being a part of the GW community. As we progressed, we slowly started to realize that COVID was not going to leave in April, that COVID was going to be here in the spring and in the summer. And like many of us, our resolve and our heroism quickly turned into, if you will, a very pragmatic realism. How are we going to adjust? How are we going to adjust to life with limited exposure to family and friends? How are we going to adjust to life without having in-person classes? How would all of this happen? Well, seemingly overnight, whether it was telehealth or virtual classrooms, we as a society came together to do what we must to socially distance, to be safe, in all of these efforts to combat COVID and to reduce as best as we could the unfathomable amount of mortality that is already caused. As the summer progressed, we still had hope, perhaps, that we would have in-person classes, that perhaps something would change. But then we also faced the reality that, no, we would need to persevere through the fall. And that is what we did as a community. Graduates, of class of 2021, you all stepped up in many, many, many ways, whether it is just being interactive in your virtual classes, whether it's just adapting, whether it's just accepting that this was now what was your lot and how you had to deal. Every single member of you stepped up, whether in the class setting or in your community. As the fall transitioned to the winter, and we started to understand that a vaccine was on the way, and that we were past the results of a very partisan election, we were still, and as we were also still coping with a country's reckoning with systemic racism, we began to have a bit of light. And I feel as though that light was very well exemplified when I was proud to see GW being one of the first sites to actually have the vaccine administered to their frontline providers. This started to give us a glimmer of hope that things would change, or rather I should say that things would become a new normal. And since then, as I'm giving you this speech, although we have lost uncountable lives, and many of you, I am sure, have lost friends and family to this deadly virus, as well as an untold economic toll, we stand here with resolve to push forward as a GW community, as well as for you all as graduates. You are medical rehabilitation public health professionals. You are clinical laboratory scientists. You are disaster relief providers, and you are healthcare administrators all. You are very, very, very caring, compassionate, and strong health professionals. And at this point in time, the lessons learned from the pandemic have only given you more experience, more maturity, and more resolve to serve your fellow man. So, class of 2021, with this, I would charge you on behalf of the faculty and staff of the School of Medicine and Health Sciences with the following. I charge you to be leaders. I charge you with leadership. And make no mistake about it, leadership above and all requires listening. Listening, seeing what the common threads or themes are, listening to with sincerity to what are the issues involving, and in addition to listening, being, when the moment is correct, brave and willing to act. This takes courage, but what act of true leadership does not? The next thing I would charge you with, class of 2021, is curiosity. Curiosity is what lies at the heart of all of our sciences. Curiosity is what lies at the heart of our humanitarian efforts. Curiosity is what keeps us from making snap judgments, and it helps us search for new and novel solutions. Curiosity is the core of whom we are and how we relate to others, because we do not judge, we are curious, we wish to understand, we wish to appreciate, we wish to acknowledge who people are and how we can best serve them. And finally, class of 2021, if I can think of one thing that I really would charge you with, I charge you with being connected. And I want you to be connected to each other. Although COVID has caused us to social distance, we have realized that those moments of interaction, large and small, that we took for granted, and a smile here, a meeting at the cafeteria, an extra 2 minutes with a patient, not only were those small moments, those were the moments. Those were the moments that connected us, and we have come to appreciate them because, make no mistake, not only does COVID cause mortality and morbidity, it reveals flaws that we've had in our healthcare system, but it also reveals where our greatest strength is, and that is in the spirit of connectedness. So class, I charge you to stay connected to each other as proud GW alumni. Class, I charge you to stay connected to your community as proud members in terms of that service leadership that we pride ourselves at GW. Class, I strive for you, and I hope that you will stay connected to your sense of identity and purpose. And most importantly, class, when this country has lost so much, I encourage you to stay connected to your family and your friends and your partners who have undoubtedly sacrificed a great deal for you to be proud graduates of the George Washington University School of Medicine and Health Sciences class of 2021. It has been my honor and my privilege to speak with you, and always remember, you will have a home at GW at any point in time. Thank you so very much.
Stephen Abrego, Mezga Akbar, Christina Allen, Daehan An, Christopher Applegate, Travis Brewer, Simon Chan, Maria Chapman, Pablo Chavez Hernandez, Hannah Churu, Corbin Koblenz, Aaron Correa, Maxwell Dogby, Jordan Doyle, Alicia Elston, Jessica Frazier, Walter Galdamez, Clarice Gant, Donald Hamilton, Brianna Harris, Alyssa Hauge, Joseph Irwinski, Jasnine Isalis, Sasha Krulder, Logan Lahan, Maurice Ivan Lebast, Shaylee Lines, Daniel Lopez, Kiana Mankel, John Kenneth Molina, Christopher Molatoris, Jolene Morales, Diamond Nolan, Timothy Joseph O'Brien Jr., Dwayne Overstreet, Ashley Ramirez, Justin Rosa, Jonathan Sharp, Ian Sybil, Thomas Sturgeon, Simon Taylor, Megan Thomas, Brianna Trevino, Brooke Verdillo, Jordan West, Anthony Wick, Juliana Loza Espinoza, Jennifer Anderson, Carl Anker, Dixon Brown, Robert Burgos, Chad Chappell, David Clausen, Gregory Dodd, Mitchell Elwood, Ryan Gordon, Benjamin Graham, Jonathan Gunn, Andrew Kimberly, Tasha King, Tabit Quo, Troy Lindsay, Jeremy Morgan, Patrick O'Hara, Alexander Pomar, Ernest Quimby IV, Carlos Rodriguez, Mark Sauve, Volker Schweier, Mark Silkwood, James Smalley, Jonathan Solinar, Kevin Toland, Thomas Waldrop, Shane Ward, Jacob Weaver, Zachary Wilson, Scott Wyatt, Carrie Lightholf, Larissa Gonzalez Torres, Roba Katemtu, Karen Niebert, Paula Cespedes Turiati, Robin Flutie, Paula G. Cespedes, Brenda Portillo, Andrew Rose, Amanda Murtha, Lucas Tronero, Michael Tursky, Megan Middleton, Sakina Lights, Michael Weissman, Niels Berg, Victor Da Silva, Ricky Ditzel, Joel Gonzalez, Rye Green, Adam Ingram, Steele McCulley, Colton Parsons, Samuel Patrick, Nicholas Accordi, Edward Akawua, Almas Alam, Kushnuma Alam, Iman Amadou, Kamlanvi Atsu, Angelica Bueno, Rovin Carrion, Alexandra Davis, Christy Ann Muthni de Jesus, Richard Deckard, Charles Fry, Amberlyn Gilbert, Samantha Gomez, Jay Woo Hong, Diana Keele, Elizabeth Kruzhkov, Alfredo Urena, Victor Lopez, Dorielle Merrill, Julie Nakamura, Denise Oliver Sturgeon, Charlene Perez, Cindy Pingole, Richard Quick, Iman Syed, Tiffany Trieger, Denicia Weeks, Tina Marie Wyburn, Betsalat Zalelum, Adabisi Adenupabi, Emma Engler, Rupinderjeet Kaur, Angie Betancourt, Courtney Damude, Kathleen Dugan, Jalea Griffin,
Linda Torres,
Kendall Isbell, Laura Leal, Maria Mora, Zainab Musa, Susan Pereira, Jaboris Tony Person, Kelly Ritter, Tony Ann Smith, Michaela Antonia Sneed, Ryan Springfield, Zara Tariq, Laura Terrique, Ashley Washington, Julia Agafonova, Emmanuel Antei, Sandy Ashkar, Randy Asteza, Adelphos Azila, Diane Aziz, Tina Baker, Katura Ball, Elizabeth Beamgard, Victoria Boone, Madeline Barigi, Susan Burgess, Melissa Carvalho, Claudia Chambers, Alexander Chai, Kelly Clark, Joe Denzin, Rachel Dougherty, Jennifer Inohosa, Amanda Howley, Riley Hurst, Haley Imhoff, Michael Johnstone, Lauren Kinney Cruz, Megan Lewis, Kelly Liddy, Shaniqua Lewis, Pooja Madula, Jennifer Masula, Emily Maxwell, Janelle McCreary, Samvika Mehra, Sandra Miller, Linda Monteroso, Sarah Mooney, Tenian Morris, Thea Nash, Leonore M. Miranda Newquist, Rebecca Olbreeze, Naomi Pires Baracosa, Kavya Rathi, Susan Reed, Sarah Rosenthal, Layla Ruth Salinas, Pamela Schank, Lauren Svensson, Renee Towns, Christina Inez Varela, Samantha Wheeler, William Whitebirch, Olu Ju, Akil Abbas, Cecilia Arana Yee, Christy Arrowwood, Brittany Bjornholm, Lubaba Dahab, Blessing Enudu, Zara Fatima, Sailaja Gajela, Lisa Gask Kuhn, Bianca Haro, Natalie Jingori, Melissa Mahabi, Joseph Marzella, Barbara Myers, Vanishri Nandakumar, Ka Hyun Pak, Elizabeth Paranet, Ami Shah, Landria Sheffy, Yera Tupra, Yuki Ano, Deepak Vedamurthy, Marcy Wilder, Lauren Wismer, Heather Renee Yoho, Nicholas Ackley, Uarda Albi, Cheyenne Bradley, Tasha Campbell, Charity Coe, Jennifer Kyler Leith, Jeffrey De Los Rios, Lucia De La Cruz, Ireneo Diaz, Kristen Lewis, Lisa Lupkovich, Samantha Marple, Maria Giovanna Melian, Carolina Pastrana Medina, Audrey Pungat, Vincent Schwartz, Terralon Sobers, Chisholm Agbim, Tagreed Alsheri, Vijay Anand, Andrea Marie Ariano, Jamie Bragg, Gabriela Cabrera, Carrie Campbell, Kara Clemens, Ivor Dorival, David Gordon, Kimberly Hoffman, Rochelle Hoffman, Jennifer Lamb, Marvin Mata, Jennifer Midget, Rebecca Mooney, Lene Moore, Kenley Morgenstern, Kristen Nicole Norris, Jessica Orge, Donna Palabrica, Thomas Paone, Denise Ramsey, Nicola Scheringhausen, Ashley Marie Shepard, Siravone Mindy Suvanavong, Lindsay Vaughn, Lisa Voitush, Lauren Wolfe, Alfred Canoy, Jerry Hughes, Michael Orr, Eddie Ruano, Kelly Tucker, Carmelita Bibby, Raquel East, Daniel Hernandez Andino, Kira McPherson, Sean Nalazinski, Michael Ogunbiyi, Angela Holohan, Bradley Berg, Lori Boge, Ricardo Boy, John Faber, Joanna Gallo Moreno, Tammy Harris, Dahlia Collada, Ariel Laws, Christiane Mady, Zakia McCurdy, Andrea McNinch, Jamira Mullen, Oritsetimayan Otubu Scipio, Susan Prather, Zarina Ram, Louisa Rio, David Sy, Marie Williams, Tatiana Znayenko Miller, Yamara Vasquez, George May, Caleb Arrington, Shelby Ballard, Linda Brostowski, Asia Coley, Rachel Ducote, Ronald Floyd, Donna Fuller, Brandon Giles, Natalie Isham Dean, Crystal Lebrecq, Jonathan Lee, Dinah Lord, Shannon McKenzie, Sarah Lynn Cecilia Miller, Kelly Mojica, Jennifer Ruark, Vittorio Caropresso, Emily Leiden, Ronald Matovu, Mbide H. Nguku, Rima Rita, Afsoon Sehat, Lauren Smith, Laura Stryker, Ilana Wallace, Kendra Wenrick, Casey Yarbrough, Hiba Abbasi, David Alpert, Ann Archer, Bradley Baggett, David Berry, Mark Bertolone, Catherine Black, Matthew Blagan, Jessica Brennan, Erica Chambers, Christina Choi, Eileen Chong, Caroline Clark, Nathalie Kohenka, Michael Dahan, Stefania D'Ambrosio, Allison Dana, Diva Krupakar Daram, Kaylee DeMio, Peng Ding, Laura Donnelly, Brian Dresser, Lucinda Fan, Morgan Focus, Krista Gardner, Claudia Walker Habib, Austin Heine, Marina Hendrickson, Irene Hong, Kurt Hufger, Micaiah Hughes, Malika Keeler Carroll, Morgan Kraus, Eric Austin Kreindler, Luz Maria Kumpel, Jessica Lawler, Janine Lee, Shi Lin, Kathleen Lonergan, Kevin Manefa, Enrique Manriquez, James Chandler Mink, Meredith Mock, Janice Alcaraz Monteliano, Dwi Nguyen, Cole Pachter, Mary Margaret Pays, Andrew Persad, Jessica Pryor, Casey Ray Rainier, Amber Nicole Reinick, Molly Resnick, Madison Rudnick, Madeline Schenk, Paul Schneider, Matthew Lane Schwartz, Alexander Steiner, Ivana Sue, Anjali Subramanian, Lauren Vadrine, Sophie Waldman, David Wallace, Varvara Wall, Flora Ming-Yi Wang, Stuart Wong, Helen Shao, Jennifer Chen Yu, Latia Bailey, Angelique Bergato, Lena Churian, Annabelle Egan, India L. Paige Gottwald, Monica House, Kelsey Krish, Michelle Nunez, Ankur Patel, Ramesh Pathak, Nina Pogorzelski, Jenna Scoggins, Lucy Solon, Carmen Stack, Yoshiko Tamura, Victoria Wu, Jennifer Hales, Portion King, Brandon LaRoche, Brian McNamara, Dipti Mystery, Brittany Parker, Richard Velasquez Diaz, Latasha Whitlow, Naomi Wulda Gabriel, Dr. Kenya Cruz, Dr. Jessica Donovan, Dr. Shanna Garcia, Dr. Kelly Sawyer, Dr. Kevin Bugin, J. Leocadia Conlon,
Sam Hanna,
Dr. Jennifer Weaver, Dr. Brittany Wilborn, Dr. Christopher Ahern, Dr. Maral Amani, Dr. Rashi Anand, Dr. Caitlin Barnett, Dr. Mary Bennett, Dr. Kevin Bodine, Kirsten Mariana Borsos, Dr. Teresa Beekler, Dr. Megan Cantor, Dr. Erica Catanoso, Dr. Gabriella Cook, Dr. Megan Culp, Dr. Kristen Cherwinski, Dr. Michael Datilis, Dr. Jacqueline Denning, Dr. Aylin Dolan, Dr. Rebecca Eisenberg, Dr. Alyssa Goheen, Dr. Rebecca Goldstein, Dr. Robin Hatcher, Dr. Allison Hoyle, Dr. Joanna Sue, Dr. Kara Jensen, Dr. Zachary Johnson, Dr. Jesse Kerchuk, Dr. Stephanie Lynn, Dr. Mackenzie Meyer, Dr. Sarah Morley, Dr. Megan Morris, Dr. Sarah Morris, Mackenzie Murray, Dr. Ryan Phillips, Alexandra Elise Reichenberg, Dr. Caroline Rumpf, Dr. Natalia Sanchez, Dr. Samuel Schroeder, Dr. Dana Schwartz, Dr. Julia Serrao, Dr. Sabrina Shapiro, Dr. Crystal Smith, Dr. Nicole Smith, Dr. Candace Suter, Jenny Tang, Dr. Morgan Vasiliou, Dr. Laura Vass, Dr. Charlotte Vogler, Dr. Laura Voss, Dr. Megan Waples,